Peace to the family. We're on the road. On the road. Yeah? Peace, love, and bliss to the family. So this video is going to be entitled Are You Really Conscious? Since I'm around again with another one of those, come on man, I told you these deliberations are basically to edify us as a people, so we elevate ourselves, to that higher consciousness. We're becoming better versions of ourselves, and that can only be we can only reach that level really by having dialogues, conversing with each other, reasoning. That's what it's has to be about, reasoning, eh? Anyway, are you really conscious? So what sparked up this topic or this reasoning? The Empress is here. Give thanks. She's my camera, not cameraman, camera woman. Even though I don't even know if she's holding the camera properly. Looking on the side there. So yeah, we were basically reasoning, and I'm like, yo, because I'm self-employed. I mean, courier business for those who know. So I'm like saying to her, yeah, if I could get a few more contracts, right? I could set this up as a real business, even have persons employed, which ultimately would lead to even the benefit of those individuals applying, and that would be the youngsters, being able to put bread on someone else's table apart from my own. But anyway, I was talking about how I would have to attire myself to go to the interview, right? So I don't want to say sell myself, but ultimately that's what it is. But sell my services, not myself. There you go. Sell my services. So ultimately, first impression says a lot. Now, what sparks up your first impression? Right? What sparks up a person's first impression? It would be that the way they present themselves. So your presentation, superficial first, because obviously people go by what they see first. So your presentation of yourself superficially would have to be above par for them to even consider what would come out of your mouth, or consider what you contain in your head psychologically, which you would explain via your words and your sentences, via your vernacular expression, right? So going into an interview, you would have to, put your shirt in your pants. If you're a man that like to have your shirt outside your pants, put your shirt in your pants, do your hair properly, or if you want to do it up, wrap it up, or whatever you do, but play that part where you actually look like you're representing the services or whatever it is that you are bringing to the people. Remember, present. So pre means before, and sent, so you are basically giving a sort of affirmation. You are pre-sending an affirmation into the universe that you actually want this job or this contract or whatever it is. Okay? So you want to pre-send, right, your affirmation via your superficial appearance and your psychological perceptions, right? So when you go dress the part, time you step into the building, people have to be like, okay, that man come for business. You understand? That man come for business. That man come and no skylark thing. He come with a tear up jeans or shirt with a big hole, or come bareback. Nobody go to the interview bareback, but you get what I'm saying. So what does this have to be being conscious? Obviously, there are people who attend interviews, okay, and while they may know to some degree or some level, because I always say there is levels to this shit, while they may know to some degree or to some level that it matters a great deal how they present themselves to the employer or the person in question, they still don't do it fully. So you still see, well, like, yeah, they dress nice and thing, but they want to wear how much chain, how much gold, they want to wear how much long zong to go in the people interview.
Blonde zong.
Blonde zong. That's how much blonde zong to go in the people interview. When they tell them type up a letter of for me quickly. Because of the nails, they can even type up the letter. You know what I mean? There are people that go into interviews really stuck up, you know, really egotistical and really full of themselves. I'm not saying that your self-confidence or your self-esteem, right, should be lacking, but there is a thin line between that confidence level and being overconfident, where you can even be seen as or deemed as egotistical. Okay? So, are you really conscious about these things? I mean, I have my WhatsApp group as well, and I asked a question in the group the last time. Can a religious person be conscious? At first, one would like to think, well, no. You understand? Because you cannot be a Christian, a white man's religion that they gave us during the advent of slavery, black people taking it up through an acculturation process. You cannot call a Christian walk and then you're still in that Christianity or still in that Islam or that religion thingy. But what I missed, right, was simple terms. Can a religious person be conscious? But I need to identify or explain or define what is being conscious. What is consciousness? Consciousness now just means to be aware. Right, family? It just means to be aware. You are aware. So all of us are saying, yeah, we're conscious, we woke, means we're not sleeping, we are aware of certain things. Right? We are woke. So there are different levels to what one can be aware about. You understand? So yes, a religious person can be conscious, because a religious person can be aware that basically eating meat is not conducive to the human anatomy for black people specifically. Okay? Drinking milk, cow's milk, okay, is not really good for the black person. I mean, speaking plainly. So I'm just using these simple points to say that there are some things that a religious person can be conscious or can be aware about. They could also be aware that there are a lot of poisons and chemicals in the vaccines they give into our children. Those are things you can be aware about, family. So religious people can be aware of those things. So yes, ultimately a religious person can be conscious. But what they may not be conscious about is the fact that the religion they are exposed to is as a means of an acculturation process, and that is not a black man's religion. These religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, they are a black man's religion. You understand? Religions have dealing with the etymology of religion is religare, which means to bond or to tie. You understand? So religion, as African people, we don't deal with religion, we deal with spirituality. And one of the definitions of spirituality, the word spirit really goes back to espari, which means the wind or the breath. That is just one level. But then wind or breath is still, or air, is still an element, right, of the divine consciousness, because as we all know, no one can tell where the wind comes from or where it goes. You see what I'm saying, family? So it's still within a level of consciousness. So that level of consciousness would have to fall under the category really of energy, right? Because now we leave the conscious being to just be aware, and we go into conscious dealing with the level of existence within itself. So energy cannot be created or destroyed, the third law of thermodynamics, right? And ultimately, the religious adherents aren't conscious or aware that the religions that they subscribe to was given to them by slave masters. So yes, religious people can be woke in regards to some things, but not how we say woke. I mean, when we say woke, it's talking about we have to be aware of a whole set of shit. Predominantly, one of the major things people who say they woke, right, or conscious are aware of is the religious factor. That there's no man, God in the sky sitting watching everything you do and judging at the end of the day. And that, to me, that is the first number one thing you have to be aware of, family. Okay? So, to my woke family, to my conscious family, I don't even want to say conscious community, because the people who identify themselves as conscious community abroad, while we have to be thankful that they are the ones who presented most of this information and gave black people a different faculty in regards to not belief but knowledge. You understand? I mean, to be honest, they made being smart and being intelligent cool again. You understand? They made being smart being cool. Which I mean, it's now cool to be smart. If you're not smart and you're still on a bad boy thing and it's a shatter, you ain't what Buju Banton say, shatter brains get splatter, But step into the future with positive meditation and setting your affirmations to manifest within your reality. Right, family? So to my woke, to my conscious family, yes, we are aware of the religious entrapments that we're exposed to as a people. That is one of the first things we're conscious about. But that is not all, family. We have to be conscious about altered history. We have to be conscious about our country where we reside, because we take it from Africa and we like to venerate Africa, but we also have to be conscious about even our little countries where we live. So I have to be conscious about St. Lucia. I have to be even conscious about the vicinity in St. Lucia where I reside, which is Vieux Fort. You understand? And all the history of that place. We have to be conscious about how we treat people, because we seem to think that because we woke here, that everybody probably is just chatting rubbish and we don't do anything, nobody have to say. Everybody has a story, so we can learn from every individual. You understand? We can learn something from every individual, family. Trying to focus on an overtake there. And that was a video, I think. I'm not too sure if we're going to do it again. Physical and mental overtaking. Okay? But yeah, so us as the conscious people that say we woke, we have to be, there are certain things we are not conscious about. So if there's levels to this shift, family, we cannot reside and stay within that comfort zone. We always have to be elevating ourselves, family. You see, so you always have to find different avenues that we are lacking and we're not conscious about, and try to elevate ourselves within these categories. Take for example, some of us that say we woke and our family is still asleep, right? We find it very difficult to get along with them because we feel that we're not on the level and they're still sleeping. Now the thing is, all of this consciousness and this information and the knowledge ultimately leads to one destination. Okay, we all try to achieve that higher level of spirituality, to become that better version of ourselves. Okay, but there are things that will help us along the path. Take for example, we have to learn how to move with our family, how to move with people who do not fall within the same category that we are. So we say we woke, and we're conscious, and we don't really jack the Jesus Christ story, and they will have people ultimately, friends, families, co-workers, what have you, acquaintances, that do still believe in that. So we cannot say, well, like, boy, I want to deal with that one because I want to still believe in that. And there are some memes that actually say, you kind of have to dumb down your conversation when you reason it with a religious zealot. Okay? But dumbing down your conversation, that is still a task in itself. Because if you contain all that knowledge up there, and for some reason the person you are reasoning with cannot process that information, you should still have the ability, okay, not dumb down the situation, but to just not to even go there with the person. You understand? If it's a Jesus screen and it's Jesus that let me do that, and Jesus, you probably just throw something in there and be like, oh, so really? So he gave you a job and gave you a house, but he missed us during slavery? And they'll be like, huh? Like what? And he's like, I'm just playing with you, because you already know they're on that. So you probably throw little daggers in there just to see if they will catch the bait. It's like you're going fishing. What did Christ say? I'm going to make you fishers of men or fishermen of men. Huh? How do you catch fish? Not with a hook, a bait, and a line. You have to send it. And when the fish start to bite, you can just pull you one time. You have to give it a little pull, reel in a bit. Pull, reel in a bit. Some people might say now, we're vegan and we don't really eat fish, so we don't even really know what you're talking about. Were you always vegan? Were you born vegan? Some of us, yeah, but some of us. Again, that all still falls within, are you conscious or are you woke? Because one time there are people that say they're conscious and they probably strictly vegan, and they hear me say I'm conscious and I'm eating fish, and they're like, oh, I hired a Naman and Naman cut up to me because I ate it. Really? To me, what leaves your mouth, I mean, in terms of words, respect, and mannerisms, is even more important than what you put in. That's why I don't hate nobody that eats your meat and your thing, you know. You can eat your thing, just don't bring your thing in front of me. Okay? And then when I present you with the information showing you that that meat doesn't actually deteriorate in your stomach until how many hours, and the chemicals it actually contains, you know, the estrogen levels, and the, you know, if you still want to eat it, then that's up to you. But honestly, if you are true to yourself after you've been presented with that information, you will have to make a clear assessment of your life and your health and see whether it is actually worth giving up on that fish. So ultimately, to be really conscious, for an individual that's saying, oh, they're eating chicken or meat, you can't stress on the man, you can't dig on the man. There are people that think they're so high, if somebody eating chicken, they don't even want to sit down by the person. Yo, why sitting down by you? There have times my mom, yo, send me and buy chicken for her already in the mall. I go say, oh, because I have looks on my head, people go see me buying chicken. Or that's up to the people. If they see me buying chicken, if it is me that eating the chicken mixed parts for $12 in Marcy there, that's up to them. I know I put that in my mouth. You understand? But then ultimately the highest level of consciousness would be like, yo, so which one? I see you buying the chicken there. I know you're not buying that for you. Then I would be like, yeah, so you know the vibe already. For my queen, I come and buy that. For my mom, I come and buy that. You know? That is the higher level of consciousness. Not being too judgmental straight away, but having considered all of the information before making a correct assessment, family. Right? So that consciousness thing, it doesn't just apply to just the religious point of view. It applies to almost everything in life. It applies to schooling, it applies to when you go and look for a job, it applies to how you're dealing with your family, how you're dealing with your children. It's like this thing has no end, you know. And I'm so elated that I have come on this path, being, I can say, a little more than half a decade right now. You understand? Because what do you say, babes and sucklings, you know, the babes and sucklings. I mean, they go say, yeah, but you're no babe, you're a big man already. But considering some of the elders that are out there, right, and really some of the information they're giving us keeping us stagnant, really. Some of the things we're in that we call a movement, you're not moving nowhere, it's quite stagnant, you know. So family, it was just a short deliberation basically on consciousness. I hope the family understood what I was saying, although half of it was about some fish there and all that kind of thing. Yeah, our ancient ancestors, the Kemeteu, did actually consume that as well. For all of you that like to come and throw shots and daggers. Yeah? But St. Lucia Independence coming on the weekend there, February 22nd. It will be the 41st independence since 1979. So we should put together a video. They're gonna have some activities about the place, so we'll put a video and put that up on the channel for the family. Right? So until then, family, remember, it's levels to the ship. You can always be better than what you are presently, and this is just a build. So are you conscious? Are you really conscious? If you really are conscious, okay, your mom not always calling on white Jesus, and let's go and say, Mom, you know what, I love you, man, even though you're calling on your white Jesus. You shake it? I love you, man. Empress, even though you're always noisy and you're always, I love you, man. Okay, it's all about love, really, isn't it? And having said that, man, peace, love, and bliss.